A man walked into a bank carrying an alarm clock and rented a safe deposit box. He locked the clock inside the box and walked out. His goal was simple: find out if the clock going off at midnight would trigger the vault's alarm. Midnight came and went, and nothing happened. No call from the bank asking questions. For the first time in months, the tension in his face broke into a smile. A few days later, he and 20 accomplices would tunnel in through the sewers, break into the vault, and clean out 371 safe deposit boxes. His name was Albert Spaghiari. He joined the army at 19, became a paratrooper, and was sent to fight in Vietnam. He came home decorated for service, but carrying deep psychological scars. After the war, he drifted from job to job before settling back home and opening a photography studio, writing articles on the side to make ends meet. But that quiet life wasn't what he wanted. Chasing thrills was the only thing that seemed to ease what the war had done to him. Looking for that rush, Spaghiari set his sights on an old, established bank in France. It was the backbone of the local financial system, where many of the region's wealthiest families kept their assets. Over the next year, he visited the bank dozens of times, posing as an ordinary customer, running small errands, asking about account details. Every visit, he quietly clocked how the place operated. By the time he was done scouting, he knew the bank's daily routine better than most of its own employees. The bank's entire security setup relied on the building itself. Underneath the lobby sat the largest private vault in southern France, its walls lined with 4,000 safe deposit boxes, built from reinforced concrete far thicker than standard construction. The vault door was a massive time-locked steel gate that sealed itself every Friday at 6 p.m. and stayed shut until Tuesday morning, a schedule not even the bank manager could override. Engineers were confident that between the thick walls, the timed lock, and full camera coverage, the vault was simply unbreakable, so they never bothered installing a sound alarm. That one oversight would end up being the reason the whole heist was possible. The vault held all kinds of valuables: cash from wealthy businessmen, gold and diamonds left over from the colonial era, and stacks of documents and recordings people didn't want made public. The bank never inspected or logged what went into the boxes, so nearly half the assets inside had no official record at all. That made it the go-to spot for local elites hiding shady income and private secrets. Spaghiari zeroed in on that fatal gap in the system. In the spring of 1976, he rented a box at the bank and placed a timed alarm clock inside to test whether the vault had any kind of sound detector. At midnight, the clock went off right on schedule. No alarm inside the bank, no reaction from the night guard. The test confirmed exactly what he'd suspected. With the security gap confirmed, Spaghiari set his plan into motion. He got his hands on maps of the local sewer system and spent night after night down there, using a flashlight and compass to trace the tunnels and measure distances to buildings above. Most of the city's sewers dated back to the Napoleonic era, uneven and maze-like, brutal to navigate. After scouting extensively, he settled on a stretch of municipal storm drain just 8 meters from the bottom of the vault, the only spot in the whole network where digging was actually possible. To pull off the tunneling and the haul, Spaghiari handpicked a crew of 20 welders, safecrackers, and ex-military men, all steady under pressure and able to keep their mouths shut. The French press later dubbed them the Sewer Gang. Spaghiari alone handled the money, the scheduling, and the orders, planning to split the loot only after the job was done. Digging began in May 1976. Every night, once the shops closed, the crew slipped into the sewers in shifts of 4 to 6, running hundreds of meters of lighting cable underground. Every scrap of rubble and dirt was hauled out bit by bit, never left behind as evidence. Conditions underground were brutal, sewage often up to their waists, the air thin and foul, several men getting sick from the fumes. When tools cut them, they'd patch themselves up and keep working. After 60 nights of digging, by mid-July, the 8-meter tunnel was complete, with only a thin layer of concrete left to break through. After weighing his options, Spaghiari picked France's national holiday weekend for the final push, since the bank would be closed the entire time, giving the crew a full 96 hours to work uninterrupted. He set the date, the night of July 16th, to break through the vault floor. That night, all 20 men hauled in acetylene torches, drills, hydraulic jacks, and 4 days' worth of food and water, making their way through the tunnel to a spot directly beneath the vault. They spent the entire night carefully cutting through the reinforced concrete floor, keeping the noise down the whole time to avoid drawing attention. By early Saturday morning, they'd broken through, and Spaggiari was the first one in. Standing inside the vault everyone believed was unbreakable. Once inside, they took one crucial step, welding the massive steel vault door shut from the inside, cutting off any way in from the outside, and guaranteeing themselves 4 uninterrupted days. They set up camp, then split into teams working in shifts to crack open box after box, taking only the high-value items they could easily sell and tossing aside anything like paperwork or letters that wasn't worth grabbing. By Sunday afternoon, the crew had cracked open 371 boxes and hauled in a staggering amount of loot. But right then, a sudden storm hit the area, and the sewer water started rising fast, threatening to flood their only way out. They had no choice but to cut the job short and get out immediately. Before leaving, Spaggiari had several men write a message on the vault wall in different colored paint markers and different handwriting. No hate, no violence, no weapons. In the early hours of July 19th, the whole crew hauled their loot back out through the tunnel, then split up and scattered to hideouts across southern France. That morning, bank staff showed up to find the vault door wouldn't open, and after police were called, it took 6 hours to cut through the welded steel door from the outside. Once inside, they found a mess. Personal belongings scattered everywhere, discarded papers covering the floor, all 371 boxes cracked open, and that taunting message still on the wall. The heist shocked all of France and was quickly dubbed the heist of the century by the press. French police launched an investigation on an unprecedented scale, raiding every known gang hideout in the south, questioning anyone with a history of fencing, stolen goods, and alerting customs offices across Western Europe about the serial numbers on the stolen bills. 3 months in, they had nothing to show for it, and the case went cold. At the end of October 1976, a gang member's ex-girlfriend, driven by resentment, tipped off the police. Following that lead, police arrested 3 suspects and eventually identified Spaggiari as the mastermind. He was arrested at the Nice airport in early November. Under interrogation, he openly admitted to planning and leading the heist, but refused to give up any names. No matter how much pressure investigators applied or what deals they offered, he never cracked, sticking to fake identities and vague answers. On the 10th of March 1977, after months in custody, Spaggiari was brought to a judge's office at the courthouse for a preliminary hearing. During the questioning, he handed the judge a hand-drawn diagram of the tunnel, then asked to step over to the window for some air and jump from the second floor. He landed on the roof of a car in the courtyard, rolled off onto the ground, and jumped on a motorcycle waiting nearby, making a clean escape and vanishing from France for good. He never set foot in France again, living out his years under a false identity in Argentina. French courts tried him in absentia and sentenced him to life in prison, a sentence that was never carried out. The total haul from the heist came to 46 million francs, and most of it was never recovered. Police only managed to seize a small amount of gold bars. Since many of the victims couldn't openly explain where their assets came from and didn't want their privacy exposed, most never filed a claim, so the bank only ended up paying out on a handful of them, leaving the vast majority of the stolen money to disappear into the underground economy.